Welcome back to Leading Through Growth, where we explore the intersection of purpose, progress, and people. I'm Thom Campbell, your host and the CEO of Stella Nova Coaching. And today I'm talking with someone I've known since at least the beginning of his most recent business venture, Jorge Toro, founder of Toro Bravo Creative. Jorge's built something really special, a thriving creative agency that helps mission-driven businesses clarify their message and grow their impact. Jorge is a serial entrepreneur, having started dozens of businesses, I think, in his lifetime. We'll dive into that a little bit. But this one's different, and we're going to find out why. Oh, and Jorge is also an experienced podcaster, so I'm hoping to get some solid tips about this. Welcome, Jorge.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Great. Well, I'm really excited to have you. As I said in the intro, you've started a lot of businesses. I don't know how many you told me, but I can't remember. Some that worked and some that didn't. Why this one? Why now? And why is Toro Bravo working?
I think, I've had the entrepreneurial spirit since I was a little kid. When I remember when I was in second grade, yo-yos were the big craze, and everybody had every yo-yo came with a white string, and I had a black Sharpie and I painted mine black. And all of a sudden everybody was like, "Whoa, that's different. I want it." So I started charging 50 cents to dye it, even though it was just a Sharpie, and that was like my first thing in entrepreneurship.
I love that so much.
And it was cool for me to be the guy that can get you the exclusive thing. But yeah, I've since then I've started a lot of legitimate businesses. And one thing that I mentioned
Oh,
was,
come on. I think the yoga string thing was legit. Now,
uh,
you may not have had an LLC, but it was definitely legit.
yeah. Oh, it's funny because it's a lot of designer brands, what they sell is exclusivity, and that's what I was selling without even realizing it. And honestly, I just realized that now talking to you that that's what it was. Um, but I've failed my way to the top.
Oh, I
Uh,
love
my
that.
my first LLC was a landscaping company. Um, it actually I started that when it wasn't sketchy to advertise on Craigslist. So I got all my business off of free marketing off of
Man,
Craigslist.
you are old. I'm just saying.
And, um, but that was an interesting experience because I hired friends and I learned the challenges that comes with managing your friends. But I was young. I was 18 years old, and I compared myself to every other landscaping company that had the big equipment, the big trucks.
Mm.
I thought that it was one of those, if you build it, they will come. So I started buying, assuming the customers would come, and then that business ended up failing, and I ended up being in like $50,000 worth of debt
Oof.
in college full time, working at Panera Bread on the weekends. So my paycheck would literally go to paying the minimum balance on all those credit cards that I had.
Oh, wow.
So,
I'm, I'm, I'm sweating just listening to this, to this story.
so, when I say that I've failed my way to the top, people are always like, "No, it's not a failure. You learned something." But like I'm literally on a mission to redefine failure because failure is beautiful. No matter what, you have to be brave enough to fail to get to where you want to be. So, 10 businesses later, I've started Toro Bravo Creative. And I've taken all those lessons that I've learned from the past I'm only 36. Um, but I've learned so much through my failures that now I'm navigating this with a lot more caution. Um, so yeah, that's kind of been the journey of getting to where I am now.
I'm interested in the difference you mentioned caution.
Hmm.
Caution can be a two-edged sword, though, right? Caution can keep you out of trouble, but too much caution can can really kill an entrepreneurial venture.
Yeah, absolutely. So after the landscaping, I was a solopreneur for all those other ventures. And in Toro Bravo, I was a solopreneur. I started it August 2023, and then October 2024, I hired my first person.
Wow.
And
October 2024, you hired your first person?
yes,
Wow.
so I
Okay.
did over a little over a year as a solo, and I was heading towards failure again. I was starting to get burnt out. I was saying yes to everything,
Hmm.
even though it really didn't align with what I was trying to offer, because I was confusing with being busy with growing the business.
Oh,
And when you're in landscaping and you hire somebody, you're like, cut the grass. Cool, they're gonna cut it. There's only so many ways you can cut grass.
right.
In the creative industry, as a creative, I want my special touch on it, and I had to learn to let go of the creativity side and let other people's creativity shine. So in the beginning, I hired this person and they were handing in videos, and I was like, I don't like it. It's not bad, but it's not me.
Mm.
Um, and then they started delivering more videos, and I was like, oh, I didn't even think about editing it that way. That's better than what I would have done. So
Oh,
then it started to change my mindset of, you know what, there's more creative people in the world. Let them shine under my guidance, and that's how we've been able to grow. So
right.
from October 2024, we went from two of us to now June 2025. We're three full time plus two part time.
Wow. That's pretty fast.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not wrong that I knew you right after you started Toro Bravo
Yep.
Creative. You joined the local BNI group. A big shout out to the Business Networking International, a great organization. And what struck me about you, I was thinking about it this morning, was your confidence. You seem to come into to your place there with a tremendous amount of confidence. And as a relatively new person to business and to entrepreneurship, definitely, I was I was kind of blown away. I was looking at you like, what kind of magic does this person have? And it's this level of confidence that comes probably through serial failures.
Yeah, it's my entire life I've been underestimated, which has been a superpower because
Mm.
um it honestly takes a lot of pressure off. If you're expecting me to do a bad job and I come up with the okay job, then you're pleasantly surprised. But if I knock it out of the park, then it's like, whoa, who is this guy? And I didn't mention, but when I was 18, through the Craigslist ad, I got invited to a BNI group. So I joined my first BNI when I was 18.
Oh,
And again, there, I was underestimated. People hated that I was in the group because they were like, he's too young, he's too immature. Um, but I've been networking since I was 18
yeah.
professionally. Um, so yeah, yeah. I
So
think
what would you say is the secret? I saw the confidence, but I'm guessing maybe you didn't feel as confident as you looked to me. But what is the secret that you've learned over so many iterations of business that you wish you had known a long time ago?
for me, I think the reason why I'm confident is because I believe in what I can provide. If you come and ask me for a social media video, I know you're gonna love the way we edit it, the way we shoot it, the way we script it. So since I truly believe in what we're able to offer, that gives me all the confidence in the world.
Okay.
If I was filming and just subbing it out to the cheapest editor on Fiverr, and sometimes it comes out great and sometimes it didn't come out great, then I might not have the same confidence.
Okay.
As for how I carry myself in those meetings, I love networking. I've been doing it since I was 18. So the one thing that I always did was I told stories. And always, when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a comedian. So I always try to involve humor into whatever I tell in my story, just because I feel it makes it more memorable. And one thing that stuck with me was when I was 18, I would visit a lot of other chapters, and then I would have a one-to-one, a cross chapter one-to-one, and
Hmm.
they would tell me about this young landscaper who told great stories. And I was like, you're literally talking about me right now. Um, so I think you saw one of my recent ones, but I've been putting a lot more effort into those 30-second elevator pitches because before I was just so busy because my systems were breaking down,
Right.
and I was just back into like, all right, I just need to dive in, make sure I can. My house is on fire. Let me put it out, and then now I'm in a position where okay, everything's good. Now let me put more effort into everything else that I'm doing. Um,
So what I hear from what you're saying is there's a level of confidence that you've learned over time. There's a level of caution you've learned over time. And when it comes to Toro Bravo Creative, it is successful where others haven't been, but it about wasn't successful. You said, I mean, you said it was getting to the point where it might not be a year ago or so. And what was it that pulling back? Was it that sort of pulling back and refocusing on the fundamentals and the foundation? What was it that made the difference between the alternative reality where Toro Bravo failed by now?
so it was me getting burnt out of doing everything. I mean, every solo entrepreneur knows that you're the one invoicing, doing the accounting. For me, scripting, filming, editing, posting, writing captions, and in social media, with clients where you're doing 12 videos a month minimum. So those are 12 new scripts every single month,
Yeah.
times however many clients you have. It's easy to get burnt out when you're doing it by yourself, and scripting isn't my strength. Um, and compared to the editors I have on my team, editing is not my strength. I love filming. I love working on the business. So let me focus on that. So where I was getting to the point of failure was I was just burnt out with everything that I was doing. That it was almost like I don't know how much longer I could keep doing this because I was becoming a slave to the business versus
Mm.
running the business.
Which is not what any entrepreneur got into being an entrepreneur to do,
Right.
right?
Yeah, 100%. And so when I brought on that person, it was a point where I was like, let me just give them a try because I'm about to shut this down. So this is like the last effort of let me see if this can actually work. And it was the best decision I've ever made. It was tough because I had to learn how to delegate. And in the beginning, I was delegating wrong. I lost the client. It was a tough one because I was excited to onboard them. And after the first video, they were done with us. Why? I was like, you're in charge of this video. And then I abandoned it instead of checking in. So, delegation for me, I'm learning to let go of the creative, but not completely abandon the client completely either. So
Yeah.
it's a balance.
Letting go of the creative, but not the process.
Right.
Yeah. Delegation is one of those things that as a business grows, well, I mean, frankly, it's not even a business. If you are and I interview a lot of leaders and I have clients that are executives in large organizations, anytime you move up in the hierarchy, whether you're a solopreneur moving to a sort of startup phase or going from, say, a vice president to a C-suite level, you have to learn to delegate better and differently. And how does that work where you are at your level? How do you know? Because Toro Bravo Creative, it's your name, literally,
Hmm.
right? So you've got there's a lot of importance in this business. How do you let go when the business is, or at least has been, you?
I think that comes from the culture you create, and making sure you're building the right team. Because the team that I have now is not the team that I originally started with. Um, I I'm something that I say is be slow to hire, quick to fire. And
Mm.
that comes from, don't just hire a bunch of people because there's potential for all these clients. Hire them when it's like, okay, my team is stressed out because they're always at max capacity or even working overtime. Let's bring somebody else on to relieve that stress. Fire fast is, you either fit into our culture or you don't. Now, that doesn't mean first mistake you're done. That
Mm-hmm.
means I'm going to work with you one on one. I'm going to try to integrate you into our culture. But if I see that you have a negative mindset, then you're done. So, unfortunately, last Friday, I let go of an editor, and he's
Mm.
our best editor, but
Ooh,
he didn't fit into the culture.
yeah.
He was turning things in late. He would talk back. He would talk back to me. He would talk back to my number two, who was his direct supervisor. Um, we would say, "Hey, change this creative so it aligns with all the other creative," and he was like, "No, my way is better." And
Mm.
it's and it's not. I love pushback because it forces me to grow, but have it be constructive pushback.
Right.
So I think it all comes to the culture of the business to make sure that you have the right team, and that way you can trust them more and delegate better.
How
Because
would you just? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
because if they believe in the vision, then it's not just getting the work done. It's we're on a mission together to do something, to have an impact.
So, how would you describe the culture of Toro Bravo Creative?
So um, some values we have is curiosity. Uh, I am a very curious person by nature. So if I go out with a home inspector, I could ask a million questions about the professional, just because I'm genuinely curious. If I go
Mm.
out with a plumber, I start asking about plumbing. Well, how does this thing work? Or like, a lot of people don't care. I'm just very curious. Um, I bring that into Toro Bravo. So when my youngest editor, I've been in this for 10 years, and they did something and I'm like, "How did you do that?" I had the youngest, most novice editor teach me something. There's no ego. I'm just curious and I want to be able to apply that into my editing. And I do that openly in our team meetings. So if you're doing something better, I don't care that I'm the boss, the CEO. If you can teach me, I want you to teach me. And that lowers everybody's ego so that everybody's curious and they're open to collaborating, which is our second value, um, without egos. And it's just about everybody improving together. So I think that if you all have that mindset, then that's where that's kind of how our culture is to create together and grow and innovate.
Because what I've always noticed about culture is that every organization, every team, every sub team, every division, whatever organizational piece you want to talk about, has a culture. And it's not that if you don't try to have a culture, you don't have a culture. Culture building is about creating the culture you want to create, not the culture that's just going to grow up naturally where you are, because that culture could be toxic.
Right.
We all know organizations uh, that have toxic cultures. So what you talked about sort of in open meetings, demonstrating your lack of ego, your willingness to learn, your curiosity, and really emphasizing the issue of collaboration. What other things do you do in your team to make sure culture grows the direction you want it to grow?
So I do a lot of one-on-ones, and I always ask what they're working on this week, what they're excited about, and how they want to grow. So I'm invested in them personally as well. And some of my team members, they have goals or skill sets they want to learn that have nothing to do with Toro Bravo. And I'm like, if I'll incentivize it. If you keep performing at the level you are, I'll pay for that course out of my own pocket. So they see that I'm invested in them, and that makes them, I don't know if loyalty is the right word, but they're a little bit more invested into Toro Bravo.
Sure.
And then one thing I wanted to mention was, in those team meetings, I make a point to point out when I mess up or I fail. and I said, this is how I messed up. This problem caused this issue within the team, and this is how I want to solve it. And I asked them, do you guys like that, or do you have a different way to solve the problem? And sometimes they agree, sometimes they tweak it a little bit, but I'm very open when I mess up. And that gives them permission to come to me and be like, I made this mistake. They never do it in a group sitting. They always message me directly. But I'm never going to get mad if you mess up if you had good intentions. Because, like I've said, I failed my way here.
Yeah.
I know that everybody else is going to fail too. So if it's as long as I leave that open door where I'm not going to yell at you if you had if you had the right intention, that creates that open communication where they can be open and honest with me.
Mm-hmm. This is a leadership. I think of this podcast as a leadership podcast. Really looking at the connections between building the culture you want to build, leading that culture within the organization you're in, all for the end result of having an impact. And that impact can be external, profit, exposure, or it can, and not or, really, and it should be internal as well. And I love the fact that you're talking about building up the people that work for you, because the truth is, none of them are going to retire working for you, right? They're all going to go off and do something else eventually.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of work. It's the nature of business.
They're open with me about that.
But I've known a lot of people that take that personally. Like a lot of people in leadership positions, if somebody leaves their team, it's like they broke up with them. It's like it's like a bad breakup. And how do you keep your ego out of your leadership approach?
It's tough. I was just having a conversation about this because I do have an ego. I can be sensitive. I do take things personally, and it's something that I really struggle and I work on to keep in check. Because I was actually talking to somebody about what's your greatest weakness, and I said I'm too sensitive. I take everything personally, and they told me you're looking at it as a weakness when it's really your superpower. Because if you weren't sensitive, you wouldn't be able to empathize with people. And so when you create content and you put yourself in the mindset of who the customer is, you're tapping into that essence that you have. So it's hard for me because that's who I am. But when you're leading, you have to put on the mask of the leader. So it's like, I heard this, if you go out into the woods with Bear Grylls and there's bears all around you, and he's confident, like, all right, this is where we're gonna go forward, don't worry about them, we're gonna keep going forward. Internally he's freaking out. But if the person leading you is like, oh my god, we're about to die, everybody's gonna freak out. So you have to put the mask of, okay, if you're going through a tough time, don't ignore it, address it, but be confident that you're gonna figure it out. And I think that is where a lot of great leaders excel, is they put on the mask of, I'm gonna make you feel confident that everything will be okay, and in the back end, I'll feel my feelings, but I'm also gonna figure it out for the team.
In that context, where do you find your support?
So there are people that I look to, like I wouldn't call them mentors, but there are other businesses in the area that actually it's funny. There's one friend that I call a lot, and he started his tree care business because he saw me start my landscaping business, and before I was mentoring him, and he stayed consistent and did a good job, and now his business is an autopilot.
Wow.
He gets offers to buy his company for $10 million like all the time. So I tap into the knowledge of more experienced people when I don't know how to handle a situation for business. For if it's a side where I need support with emotional intelligence, I have a friend who she's just amazing at that type of advice. So I have people that I tap into depending on what I need help with. And it's knowing when I need that help too.
I was going to say that awareness, that self-awareness piece, probably wasn't there when you were 18,
No.
right?
Honestly, it wasn't there when I started Toro Bravo.
Oh, wow.
Um, I'll just be open about this. I started going to therapy October 2024. And I was dealing with a lot. I had the worst ego issues where I was just ruining relationships. And when I started working on myself and my emotions and how to better carry myself, everything else in my life started getting better. So it's having the right people to tap into and being very self-aware of where your faults are, so that you know when to identify and be like, all right, stop. Let's handle this the right way.
Right. And I'm a big fan of therapy. I mean, I think having those support pieces, and what strikes me is there's a through line to what you're saying is your confidence. Too much confidence becomes ego,
Mhm.
right? And so you have to have and not enough support becomes burnout,
All right.
right? And so finding that balance, finding that in some ways is almost a tightrope, right? I mean, most small businesses fail,
Yeah.
right? And so being able to ride that tightrope, being able to ride that balance between what you feel like doing in any given moment and being self-aware enough to recognize that, well, maybe that's not the right thing right now, or maybe it is, and having the experience, learn through many failures to sort of to have that self-awareness. That's really tremendous.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna fail, you might as well learn from it. So
So I want to switch for a minute. You talked about storytelling a minute ago.
yeah.
What is the role of, obviously the role of storytelling in your business is central, right? Your product is story,
Hmm.
right? You build social media stories in 20-second spots or whatever they are, right? What is the role of storytelling in leadership?
That is a great question. I think that it's easy for people to go into a job and treat it just like a job. I would argue a lot of people in the government do that. They're going to punch in and punch out. I think that if you are able to tell your story about why you started the company, what your values are, what your missions are, and how you want to impact other people's lives, I think that there's a lot of people that are looking for purpose in their lives. And let's say you are a great video editor, but you're just editing the same type of, let's say, home tour videos for real estate agents, day in and day out. You don't feel that impact that you're having on other people's lives. So when I talk to them and tell them about why I started it, it's the mission about, as an entrepreneur, I failed a lot because I didn't have the right support, marketing or whatever, and we're able to give that support to other people. So that's the story I tell, is the vision, the mission, and they buy into that. And part of that is celebrating our clients' wins with the team, so that they can
Wow.
see the impact that they're having. And we had an amazing week. This was probably 4 months ago, where one of our our loan officer clients won an award for their presence on social media. And literally the next day, Olivia Devescovy, our insurance person, said, "Hey, I just won an award, and part of it was because of my social media presence." So we literally had back-to-back wins for our clients. Um,
How did the team take that?
it's it was a sense of we're actually doing something. I mean, I'm ecstatic. I feel like I won that award. So it's being able to say, hey, this is what we can do is so important. And my team follows me on social media, and I always shout them out. I never said I did this.
Hmm.
I always say I have the best team, or my team is undefeated, or this is what's possible when you have the right team. Because I know I was at the point of burnout, and this was about to fail.
Right.
They are what made me successful.
Right. I love that, and it's if I can extend what you just said, this how the storytelling approach improves and strengthens and grows your culture of Toro Bravo Creative. Right? It's
Yep,
the internal. It's like how do people feel about working there? It's like how do people's days feel to them?
absolutely, 100%, 100%.
I talk to a lot of people who are unhappy in their jobs, and this and the secret sauce I have learned over many years of doing this is culture.
Mhm.
And when culture is intentionally driven in a positive direction and reinforced, and practices have been put into place to reinforce it on a regular, daily, even hourly basis, then organizations have impact. Otherwise, it's rolling the dice. I mean, they might not.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in what's really powerful on those one-to-ones is when you get to know them personally, and then I always try to find, okay, what's one personal thing that they told me that I'm going to follow up on in our next one-to-one. And because one thing that I like to do is I want you to feel that I see you. So if one day you said hi to me and I was like, hey, that hi was weird, and I pull you aside, I'm like, hey, is everything okay? I want you to feel like I noticed those little differences,
Yeah.
because that's how invested I am in you.
And it's legit. I mean, it's authentic, right? You're
Yes.
not faking this.
No.
It's there's a difference between. I mean, you're doing it intentionally,
Hmm.
purposefully. That doesn't make it inauthentic.
Right.
So and that's the piece that always kind of interests me. You've got a solopreneur whose personality is the culture of that business because they're the only person that works in that business.
Yeah.
Once that solopreneur hires people, though, now the culture is impacted by other people's habits and personalities, and so it's a challenge. What's harder, starting a business or growing a business?
Growing. 1000% growing it, because the culture of the solopreneur is different from hiring somebody. That culture is different versus, now you're a team of two versus a team of five. That culture is different versus a team of 10. That culture is different. And we're a team of five now, so I have the capability of connecting with you one on one. If you're a 500-person corporation, that becomes a lot more difficult. So I think growing it, I mean, anybody can start a business. Anybody can get to that point where they're making enough where they can live off of the business, not necessarily well, but they can be an entrepreneur. Um, but if you want to take it to the next level, you want to hire somebody, and now you have the stress of that person is feeding their family based on the work that you're bringing in to the company. It's a lot more stress. Um, it's all hard, but it's a different type of hard.
Right. Well, it's a different skill set,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? When you were a solopreneur, your skill set had to be videoing, editing, marketing. Delegation's not in there. Delegation is a skill set.
Yeah.
Culture building is a
Building
skill set.
systems is a skill set.
Yes.
And,
So it's
I think that if I were to be honest long term, I think that I'm going to grow Toro Bravo to a point where then I bring in the right team to run it, and I'm going to start the next thing, because you have
you're going to be like your tree friend. You're
right.
just going to go off and
I mean,
let somebody else do it.
you in any point. I mean, so let's talk about change for a second. There are people that are entrepreneurs, and they will start the business. They'll grow it to a point where then it's almost less focused on growth and then more focused on management and systems in order to make that profitable so that it can live for the longest period of time as an organization.
Right.
People within that organization, a lot of people will leave because you have people that sort of have an essence of an entrepreneur, but they're not an entrepreneur. They're the number two, the number three. They're at some point where they're not necessarily the one who carries the entire weight of running it.
Right.
Those people either buy into the systems or they leave. And I think that a lot of serial entrepreneurs will grow it until that they bring in the management team to set up, manage, and then they're off to the next project.
Well, and it's a different vibe, right? I mean, you can keep a consistent culture, but the vibe has to change,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, I know a lot of people. I have one client right now who started with a company when it was a startup, so 10 people, and now it's got 60 people, and she's unhappy. Well, that's not terribly surprising. As organizations get bigger, they get more corporate, and if corporate is not your thing, and that's okay, right? So that's interesting. So I have the other day when we were talking, I asked you for podcast advice, and you said maybe have rapid fire questions. So I have some rapid fire questions for you.
Awesome.
So we're going to do that, and so you're a creative and you're a social media focused business, B2B. Email newsletters, are they still worth it or are they dead?
Worth it.
Okay. Entrepreneurs, are they born or are they made?
Oof. I think it could be a little bit of both. I think it depends on your environment.
Were you born or were you made?
I was born.
Okay. This is the yo-yo strings. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get AI for creative businesses. Is it an existential threat or is it essential?
Essential.
All right. Back to entrepreneurship. Is it an art or a science?
Oh, both. It's a mix of both. Yeah.
That looked like that hurt.
Yeah. It's both.
All right. So, one last question. What would you want people who are listening to this podcast, watching us, what do you want them to walk away with?
I think that as a leader, the first battle starts with you. I think that in order to lead well, you have to make sure that you come in with the right mindset and the right tools to handle situations. Because leadership can be romanticized as in, I'm going to lead the team forward and we're going to, lead them to victory. But knowing how to handle those issues when they come up, because they will, whether that's within your team, whether that's with a client, whether, whatever it may be, knowing how to have the right approach for those situations is everything. But it all first starts with you having the right mindset to be the right type of leader you want to be.
And that requires self-awareness and intention?
I think it's self-awareness. I think it's leadership isn't necessarily, when you're moved into leadership, you're not necessarily taught, because you performed well and then you become a leader. And I think you have to be self-aware of your personality type, and then maybe look at somebody who you admire as a leader, and then figure out what are the qualities that make him a good leader, and how can I take that and turn into that type of leadership.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Jorge. I really, really appreciate you being on the podcast today, and I can't tell you how happy I am with this conversation. This has been really great.
Thank you for having
So,
me. This is really fun. This is actually my first time I'm a guest on a podcast, so that's cool.
is that right? Oh,
Right.
well, welcome.
Thank you.
So that's it for this episode of Leading Through Growth. A big thanks to Jorge Toro for joining me today. If you want to learn more about Jorge's work, check out Toro Bravo Creative at torobravocreative.com. And if you're curious about his podcast, Jorge, can you give me a link that I can drop in the show notes?
Absolutely.
All right. And so if you enjoyed this conversation, please share it with somebody that is somebody who's building something or rebuilding something or picking themselves up after failure and trying again. And until next time, I'm Thom Campbell at the intersection of purpose, progress, and people. And whatever you're building or rebuilding, keep showing up, keep growing, and keep leading through growth. How about that? All right.
That was awesome, man.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I love learning about you. I love your little skull in the background.
Oh, thank you.